Okay, everybody, let's get started. All right. 403 continues to be a hold because we just haven't gotten to figuring out anything. But still like to do something. All right. I understand there's only so many hours in the day. It's true. Can we change that?
Daylight savings time.
I think people are trying to do that, actually. Here, you're going to be happy about the next one, so just hold on. All right. 726.
Senate Bill 726 is the highway user revenue bill, and probably helps to think about 726 and House Bill 1187 together.
Sure does.
I believe both of those are going to move together. You should have in front of you a chart that it's just a handwritten chart. It's got SB 726 on it, HB 1187. This is, I believe, a compromise on the distribution. Here, we would be doing two things. If you'll recall, the highway user revenue account receives 17.2% of the corporate income tax money. So the first thing the bill does is attempts to backfill some of that, some of the loss to the department by increasing the amount of money going to that account. So the first chart up top you'll see is the percentage that's gonna increase that's going into the highway user revenue account. It's currently 17.2. It's going to go to 20% in fiscal 24, 21, and 25, 22 and 26, and then 22 and 26, and then in 28 after it's going to drop back down to 17.2%. No, excuse me, it's going to stay at 20%. And then below you'll see the table. This is the ramp up. This is the splits that the three groups are going to get. So Baltimore City will get 9.5 in fiscal 24, and the county's 3.7, municipalities 2.4. And you can see it ramps all the way up to when it gets to fiscal 26, it stops, and that's an 80-20 split. If you'll recall, we're currently, I believe, at a 90-10 split, and there was talk of a 30-70 split. This is the 80-20 split. So starting in fiscal year 26, you'll have that 80-20 split. Fiscal year 27, you'll have the 80-20 split, and then it'll drop back down in fiscal 28 to, I think it totals to 15.6.
Okay. Senator McCray, how do you feel about this chart?
I think it's in a good posture.
I'm surprised to hear that.
So it's favorable with amendments on both Senate Bill 726 and House Bill 1187.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Senator McCray. Another big winner. All right, are we ready for this next one? Okay. 806.
806. For reference, you guys have a reprint in your packet about 2/3 of the way through for House Bill 1100. I believe you have both the House bill and the Senate bill, so assuming your plan would be to amend them the same, we'll work off of that one. So as this bill came in, it established a $16 million appropriation for 3 tranches of retainment and hiring bonuses for the child care industry. The amendment before you, the supplemental budget brought in the $16 million for fiscal 23. So now what this bill would propose to do is to establish the way that that $16 million would be spent. And you can see the first tranche is $10 million for $1,000 retention bonuses with various, requirements of the employee, including 20 hours a week. The second tranche would be, Bill page 2 at the top of the page, a $4 million tranche. This would be for new hire bonuses. And then in the middle of the page, I'm sorry, at the bottom of the page would be the final $2 million for hiring assistance bonuses. So it keeps the $16 million, it just identifies how it should be spent and divided up and aimed towards.
Okay?
The House bill, what you're seeing here is the House, pretty much the only change of what the House voted is changing 2024 to 2023. Otherwise, the body of this is what the House voted for their bill. You guys have not acted on the Senate bill yet, so obviously the choice is to yours.
Good bill.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Could you go over the difference once again? For the House bill?
Oh, so the House, the report that you have before you, the House did everything in there, except now that we know that $16 million was put in for fiscal 2023, it changes that year in page 1, line 8.
Changes it to, I'm sorry.
2023. Initially, the bill came in as a mandate for 2024.
Oh, just for 2023.
Correct.
Yes, okay, perfect. It conforms with what we have agreed to. Senator Eckert?
Do you have an approximate on how many individuals this would apply to?
Let me see what the fiscal note says.
Because it's up to $1,000, right?
Yeah, so it depends on which tranche. I mean, the first one is up to $1,000, and that would be the $10 million pot of money. So 10 million divided by 1,000, sorry, I'm bad at that quickly. What is that, 10,000 people?
So the
10,
child care provider, not the employee, the business can apply for this, correct?
So it depends on which bucket, I guess.
Okay.
So the first one is retention to an individual who is employed.
Yep.
So that would be the worker. Then the second bucket is a new hire bonus, again, for the person who begins employment, either as a provider or with a child care provider. So it targets both the provider as well as the people who work there.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, let's go to 919.
So that would be favorable with amendment on 806 and 1100.
Correct.
Okay. I'm sorry. Good. What was the next one you called?
919.
Okay. Okay, Senate Bill 919 is also a child care bill. This one deals with the revolving loan, basically for capital expenditures as well as operating. But it's a revolving loan fund. You do have a reprint on your desk. It's either I only gave you one copy, so it's either House Bill 993 or Senate Bill 919 that you have in front of you. 919? 993, great, thanks. They are potentially identical if that's how you guys want to do. So, okay, so looking at House Bill 993, most of these are House amendments. I'll define the one change that is being proposed for you guys on this side. So, again, this one sets up a capital support revolving loan fund. It is targeted, the amendment that the House did changes it to the Department of Commerce. I believe that was at the request of the department. Let's see. The fund can be used for no-interest loans for capital expenses related to facilities, acquisition, expansion, renovations, new construction. On page 3, there is a repayment requirement of 5 years, but they can establish hardship exemptions. Then, let's see, the Commerce does have to consult with MSDE in terms of eligibility criteria and application procedures. And then there is a prioritization at the middle of bill page 4 that the House did, which is, the applicant criteria would be prioritized for childcare providers that are located in underserved communities, childcare, people that lack childcare slots, as well as rural communities. And then on page 5 of the bill, this is the proposed amendment that the Senate, you all would be adding, which is the funding for it. Supplemental budget came in for fiscal year 2023, providing $15 million for this program. Initially, the bill had 2 additional years of funding, and so the proposal here is to just go with the 1 year of funding.
Okay? All's in favor? As amended to put them both in the same place? Opposed? Okay, Senator King.
EHE is secondary on this, so it'd have to go downstairs first.
Okay. You'll note that I skipped over 858, but 858 and 995 came up today in discussion in the work group on gaming. I thought it was a very productive session. Thank you, Senator Zucker and all the participants. It was good. I think we learned a lot and realized that we've got a lot out there and a lot before us next year as the casinos licenses are going to start to be up, and we'll have to be dealing with those issues also. But all of these sort of tie together in our big package of gaming in the state of Maryland. And I think hopefully we're getting a better sense of that. I think we're going to sleep on these for tonight, and we'll see what might come up tomorrow. House Bill 27.
Is the historic revitalization and enterprise zone tax credits, alterations and eligibility. This one is a cross-file that is not in the same position as the Senate bill. The bill as introduced would have, or does, extend the historic tax credit program through fiscal 2023. The Senate came in with a little bit higher numbers for the mandated appropriations than the House did, and so there's a little bit of a difference there. The House also increased the overall cap on commercial credits. So there's various levels that there's a maximum cap you can get depending on what type of project you're doing. So those project caps were increased. And then the third difference is there's an increase to the enterprise zone program that allows some enterprise zone credits, I believe in Baltimore City, to be claimed for a couple extra years.
Okay. What's the difference in the House and the Senate on the dollar amount?
The dollar amount in the House for fiscal 25 and 26, it's $16 million, and for 27 through 2031, it's $20 million that's appropriated. In the Senate bill, it is $22 million each year through 2031.
Yes.
And then the small amount that goes to the, the small trust account, for the new,
Yep.
the new trust account, the Senate left that amount at $4 million, the House took it down to $2 million.
Senator Roosevelt?
So the bottom line, all-in cost of the House bill is less than the Senate bill?
Correct.
And the change, and so what are the puts and takes then? The trust account, which I don't know anything about, that's lower in the House bill.
6
Lower in
million a
House.
year, 6 million a year the first 2 years, and then 2 million a year for the
the last.
remaining years.
So that's how it goes.
That's the difference between the House and the Senate.
That's it, that's 100% of the difference.
And then and then the small account, 4 to 2.
4 to 2.
Gotcha,
correct.
okay.
And then I think they've got some worthy amendments on the city enterprise zone. Senator McCray?
I think that we all came to this chamber because we follow the wisdom of the Senate. And on this bill, in reference to House Bill 27, I'd like to move with the posture that we came in reference to the dollar amounts. And in reference to the enterprise zone piece of it, Mr. Chair, how it was explained to me from my cross file was that during this pandemic, when you're in an enterprise zone, you get 5 years to take advantage of this specific tax shelter. There were some folks that weren't able to take care of that piece because of COVID-19.
So you support that?
Very much so. Very much so.
Second.
Okay, so, did I hear a third difference? Was there a third
Yeah,
difference? Did I
the
miss
only
that
thing,
part?
it sounds like the only, so you're going with the 22 million that the Senate did. We'll
Correct.
leave in the
4 mil, and the 4 million.
And the 4 million. We'll leave in the enterprise zone piece. The only thing you have left is the credit caps. That doesn't affect overall amount. It's just how much that particular project can get. So it's, right now, the credit is capped at around 3 million for certain projects, and it bumps it up to 5 million.
Sorry, Senator Eckert.
Mr. Chairman, how much had the governor been putting into this program heretofore each year?
Probably down at the.
12?
Yeah, 12, yeah.
Is it, I couldn't remember, because we've worked on this, tried to
Yeah,
bump
this is
it
a
up
good,
for
this
a
is a
long
good,
time.
this is a good effort.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
What do you think about the caps? Anybody have opinions on that?
I don't have a problem with it. I'm okay with it because,
So the cap going up?
yeah,
So maybe we take the House on the caps, we take the House on the enterprise, and we take the Senate on the money. Got it?
okay.
Senator Alfrith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a clarifying question. Does it, when we say the House's position on enterprise, is that eventually sunset enterprise zones, or that's not included anymore?
Different bill.
Different, okay,
That's
thank you. I
different bill.
thought
Very-
so, but I wanted to double check. Thank you.
Very different bill.
Thank you.
These are helpful.
Okay. Senator McCray. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Yeah, it is amended. House, Senate. Got it. Senator McCray will take it to the floor. All right, 69.
All right, House Bill 69, you guys did already vote this, but as it went to the floor, the Department of Assessments and Taxation flagged something, so the chair just wanted to bring it back to you guys. This is particular to the provision on page 3 of the reprint, which is the Gaithersburg amendment that I keep referring it to, sorry about that, about the notification when a commercial property tax is assessed at a lower rate, and then the notification that needs to go to the county and municipalities. As you all passed it, it had the department providing that notice. SDAT pointed out that it really should be the appeal authority, since it is the appeal authority action that kind of kicks off this whole chain. So the idea would be to amend, switch out department with appeal authority.
Okay? Does this, or you need to put this in the same posture as us? Or they have our.
They have the Senate bill. I've been in communication with my counterpart about this change.
Okay. Senator King, you had this bill, right? All's in favor of this change? Opposed? Senator King. Oh, my goodness, another child care.
All right, House Bill 89. This is a cross-file for Senate Bill 480, which is currently in the House. You do have a reprint on your desk. This amendment would make it identical to Senate Bill 480. As a reminder, it just stipulates how money that is currently in the budget, both for 2022 and for 2023, should be distributed in terms of a priority for stabilization grants for childcare.
Okay? Good? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained. You want to take it? Okay.
Absolutely.
Look at this cooperation. Oh, so much love.
Go team, go team.
Very good. Okay, 172.
So House Bill 172 does not have a cross file. This is a bill dealing with income tax subtraction modifications for union dues. As amended by the House, the bill came over with a subtraction modification for expenses related to union dues, and then the House capped the subtraction modification at $300 a year.
What was the original posture?
The original posture of the bill would have had an unlimited subtraction modification, and then in addition, there was a provision in the bill that would have had an add back for expenses businesses had deducted relating to attempts to influence union membership and collective bargaining activities. Those provisions were struck from the bill. Union activities and collective bargaining activities? The House struck provisions from the bill that would have required companies to add back to their income taxes, so making these expenses taxable in Maryland. Expenses that the company had incurred to influence collective bargaining or sort of fighting union membership, because it's a business expense at the federal level if you're, it's deductible as a business expense at the federal level, so it would make it not deductible at the state level.
Senator Young.
Oh, okay. I wasn't following that. I thought we were benefiting the businesses here and not the unions, but we've still stripped the unions of some deductions as to what they had previously before this administration.
Can you say that question one more time, please? Sorry.
We haven't, I'm asking, it appears we have not restored to the unions what they had before this administration.
So the Trump administration, union dues used to be subtractable at the federal level. And because they were subtractable at the federal level, they then were subtracted, they then flowed through into Maryland.
Yeah.
The Trump administration put through the tax bill in 2017, I'm blanking on the name of it, but that tax bill took away your ability to subtract union dues at the federal level.
Yeah.
And so this, I believe, is an attempt to restore that benefit that you would have received because of the way our two tax structures work together. You would have received that benefit at the state level, and this is an attempt to try and mimic that.
To try to give it back.
Yes.
Okay. The unions seem to have a different impression. That's why I was asking.
What was the, what's that?
Do they have to itemize when they give the subtraction modification, or is it
Not in Maryland. If you were going to take the benefit at the federal level, you would need to itemize to take it. In Maryland, this subtraction modification you could get even if you're not itemizing.
Was there a limitation prior to the Trump administration on the dollar amount?
I don't know whether there was. I don't believe there was. As to there, no. There's a complicated answer. There's a 2% floor if you make a lot of money that would kick in.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That 2% floor would
Yep.
limit it. But it was a miscellaneous deduction, so
Yep.
it fell into that pot.
Yep. Senator Quarterman.
So basically, Matt, just following up on that, so currently, though, you still cannot take the deduction federally, is that correct? Like, that hasn't changed since that?
That hasn't changed, I believe.
So this would just be from Maryland, you could take the deduction under Maryland,
Right. And if it ever does change at the federal level,
it would flow down.
well, no, it's being put in, yes, it would flow through, so.
Right.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Matt, I'm not sure if you can answer, and I can get it another way if you can't, but do we know the average union dues?
No.
Okay.
I do not know the
I w-
average union
Okay,
dues.
but I think it's safe to assume it's over 300. And can you remind me what the bill came in,
Unlimited.
unlimited?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Senator,
Thank you, yeah. My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that prior to the Trump tax cut, union dues were deductible regardless of what they were. If it's a cost of your employment, it's like hiring a lawyer. You're having a representative to represent you, and you get to deduct it. And you did for, I guess, decades and decades and decades, and as I understand it, the Trump tax bill took that away at the federal level. We didn't restore it at the state level. The bill came in to restore it at the state level. And the House bill capped it at $300, and I don't know all the levels of union dues, but some are above and some are below. But it seems to me we ought to go back to the system the federal government had and the state government had, which is if you as a worker are paying folks to represent you, you ought to be able to deduct it just the way you used to before 2017. So I would support taking the cap off and then going favorable with that amendment.
Senator McCray.
What are your dues, man?
I was about to go into it. So I wanted to speak to Senator Alford and some of what Senator Rosapep stated. We do 3% working dues, so it's probably on average around about $4,000 a year that someone, electrician is paying out of Local 24.
Very good.
Thank you.
Senator?
I don't know about that for 3%, but I know most of the steelworkers, they do every 2 hours per, and that's how they get theirs. So it goes by what they make by hour, and by every 2 hours, they would get that amount of a union due tax, I guess you could say, or subtraction out of their pay.
Senator Jackson?
There's a lifetime FOP, guy, look, 300 is nothing. So I'm with taking off the cap. I mean, it's not even, you don't even scratch the surface. So I concur with
Senator.
the amendment.
Senator Zucker?
Madam, I mean, just for transparency's sake, I'm for going back to where we were, but what was the, and even, I know you don't speak for the House of Delegates, but what was their thought process to coming up with the 300? Do you know what any rationale was for it?
No, they did not
Okay.
provide me any
Okay.
background on it. All right.
Senator Griffith?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Most of my colleagues have made my point. This is probably one of the bills that I've heard the most on. I think it just makes sense for us to do what we were doing before the federal government made their change, with hopes that the change will happen at the federal level ultimately, because these are working men and women and our neighbors and friends that are spending money out of their pocket to have something, you know, to have this, and I think we need to address it. So I join with those who've moved favorable with the Senate amendments.
So what we're really talking about here is putting the bill back in its original posture.
No. On that issue.
Partially.
But not on the other
Partially,
issue.
yeah.
And what's the other issue? Again,
The other issue was the add back on the businesses that were engaging in, that were hiring.
they put that on.
No, the House introduced it with that provision in it, and the House struck that provision.
They struck that
They
provision.
struck that provision that would have prevented the businesses from taking the deduction.
So, repeat your amendment, Senator.
Well,
What posture exactly do you want this bill in?
Well, I'd be happy to take it back to it originally introduced, personally. But what I proposed, to focus on the issue of getting rid of the cap, is the House bill with no cap on the deductibility of union dues.
And not addressing the,
I did not address that, but if other people are interested in addressing that, I'm happy to address it. I'm just being transparent.
okay? Discussion. Okay, there's a second on it. Does everyone understand what we're talking about at this point? Yes?
Only thing about this, I don't want to change like this. I don't want to kill the bill. I want to be sure that that putting something like this on there doesn't kill it on the House side.
So,
Chairman?
so first off, the piece, they took the one piece off, correct? About the business deductibility?
Correct.
Okay. And they added the cap.
Correct.
And what we're talking about here is essentially not dealing with the fact that they took the business deductibility part off. And we are adding the cap. We're not taking off the cap,
Taking off the cap.
eliminating the cap.
Yeah.
Senator,
I was gonna say, I have on good secondhand authority that I think it's gonna be favorably perceived in the House. I do. Don't cash the check, but that's my understanding.
okay. This has been, moved and seconded. Everyone understand what we're voting on? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Senator Corbett. Senator Rosapep will take this one.
Thank you. Senator McCray will back me up and explain how union dues are charged. And Jackson and Sallings. We got a three-member team here to back me up. Thank you. Exactly.
285.
All right, House Bill 285 is the cross-file to Senate Bill 983, which deals with the property tax credit for adding federal officers. To make it match the package that you all sent out, you would amend this bill to allow the local jurisdiction to define who is a law enforcement officer or rescue worker for purposes of this tax credit.
All those in favor of the Senate position? Opposed? Okay. This was Senator Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 325.
House Bill 325 is the cross-file to Senate Bill 250. The bills have a couple differences. This is a procurement bill related to the timelines for payment practices, getting the payments out in a timely fashion. The House bill, so the way it works is there's a 30-day period for when a payment's supposed to be made, and then under current law, interest begins to accrue, but if it's paid by 45 days, there's no interest that's due. So that there's a 15-day grace period. The House took that 15-day grace period down to 7 days, delayed the effective until June 1 of 23. The Senate on that issue eliminated the grace period, still with the delayed effective date. The other difference in the bills is that there were uncodified reporting requirements, and the Senate added a reporting requirement for DoIT about the upgrade to the comptroller's online payment portal, and then also expressing intent of the General Assembly that any plans for the upgrade include goals to significantly reduce the payment processing timelines. So the two pieces, it's that report, and then whether it's no grace period or a 7-day grace period.
Senator Young.
Does this cover the capital projects too?
I don't know if it would cover capital projects. Those would be, this is for state procurements. So I guess depending on what the project is.
Yeah, I would like it too. That's where we've had a terrible problem with that. A lot of these nonprofits or whatever expend the money and wait months and months and months, and
So this is not the nonprofit bill.
it doesn't include them being paid on time.
Senate Bill 542 was the bill about nonprofits. I don't believe there was a cross-file that passed on that from the House. This is about state procurement contracts. This is not the nonprofit issue.
Okay.
Senator Griffith? No thoughts?
No, that was
So, do we put this in the Senate position, posture, or do we leave it the way, or what do we do? Senator Roosevelt?
I'm sorry, now I'm confused. I thought I understood what we were doing. So this is a bill without a crossfile, right?
No, this has a cross-file.
And this crossfile was which?
Senate Bill 250,
Which was whose bill, or what was it?
and B&T was Senator Hayes' bill.
Was this the
This
30, this was the 30 to 15 days?
This was Senator Hayes' bill, right?
This
Yeah,
was the
that
30.
15, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So
but
this is a
we
crossfile.
ended up not doing that, right.
No, but we amended it.
Right, we made the fine or the interest.
The interest, we moved up when you paid the interest.
Great,
And we endorsed the overhaul of the whole system.
correct.
And what this bill does from the House is,
It reduces the grace period for the interest from 15 days to 7 days. You all reduced it from 15
Right.
to 0.
but otherwise is consistent with our bill.
They did not include, you all also added the reporting requirement about the upgrade to the
Okay,
electronic payment.
I
file.
understand, okay.
Yeah.
I'd make a proposal, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
I would say we go along with the 7 days instead of 15 days, but put back in our reporting requirements. Unless there's some reason not to do that.
Senator Griffith.
Yeah, I did want to say, I thought we amended the Senate bill to put the nonprofits in the same posture as.
Yes,
the-
that's
to
included in there too,
Senator
yeah.
Young's
You're
point.
right,
I think
you're
we
right.
did amend our
That's a
bill
different,
to
that's a
put-
different bill.
It is? I thought we did it on the next
No,
15
it's
days.
Senator Kagan's bill, I think, right?
Yes, that's Senate
No.
Bill 542.
Okay,
It was the same concept, but I think we did it in Senator Kagan's bill.
okay, fair enough, but, okay.
And, yeah, the House has not sent the cross-file on that one over.
So the 7 days we're doing for grace period, not, right?
It's just for interest, Grace, right?
It's
Correct.
interest. It's, when you haven't been paid after 30 days, they'd have to pay you after 37 days instead of
Without
waiting for
having,
45 days.
without incurring any interest.
Without incurring any interest, yeah. They'd start having to pay interest sooner. That's the
Right.
idea.
And we said,
15.
We said
We said immediately after 30, and they say 37.
got it.
So, under Senator Roosevelt's proposal, you would basically amend House Bill 325 to add that additional reporting requirement.
Okay.
Yes, that's my suggestion. The
Okay.
reporting requirement's important.
Agreed.
So
All right.
moved.
Are we all good? Because we are then changing we're reducing our position a bit.
We're being very flexible.
Senator?
Now, I appreciate us being flexible, and I'm going to move with the chairman of the work group's position, but I thought we had debated the 37, and we had thought 30 was a good posture.
No, we had. I mean, our position was 30. I mean, personally, it depends how hard you want to push this. I mean, I'm cool with taking a stronger stand, and I'm cool with just compromising at the 7. I mean, I think anything's an improvement. In the grand scheme of things, the more important part of the bill, frankly, is giving legislative direction to overhaul the whole system, because that's where the fix is really going to come. But
You're right.
I'll go with the flow.
Yep, and you're right, we're going from 45 to 37 anyway, so it's still progress.
Okay. So all in favor of the vice chair's motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And who took this to the floor the day before? Was it you?
Could be.
Well, it was either you or Senator Griffin.
If she would like to, I certainly would defer.
Sir, I would never take that opportunity.
Fair enough. Okay, it's a deal. I do it.
I'm poised to back you up.
Exactly.
So friendly everyone is.
That's fine.
Okay.
I got your back.
All right, this is an important bill, this next one, but gets increasingly complicated. 406.
House Bill 406, there's no cross-file. The bill is addressing the issue where it's mostly human services, but there's a few Department of Health instances where children are admitted to a hospital, and then there's no place for them to be discharged to because of the lack of available beds. And so you have children ending up staying in these hospital settings. I think the testimony indicated sometimes it's significant, months at times. The JPR is secondary. The bill changes some processes for a court being able to admit a child to an inpatient psych facility. It also imposes some requirements on the departments to, the most significant one is to make them pay for the costs of non-medically necessary stays in the hospitals when they're not able to be discharged. There are a few provisions of the bill that I think could warrant some further review. I think there's some pieces I think need a little clarification. So I don't know that it's.
House Bill 632 is the Baltimore East-West Corridor Transit Study, and it would require the Department of Transportation to start the process of beginning the MARC rail expansion and the Red Line expansion. It would require for 3 fiscal years that the governor include funding, subject to federal funds being available for matching funds, to do the NEPA study. It's an extensive study, but that needs to be done before major transportation projects are start. And then there's also a requirement that the governor appropriate out of the Transportation Trust Fund $200,000 to the Baltimore City Mayor's Office of Employment Development for Workforce Development and Small Minority and Women-Owned Business Development.
Mouthful.
Yeah, that's quite the acronym.
What's the cost on this?
7.3, assuming that you don't count what's up, there's some money already in the CTP. So if you discount that, it's 7.3 that's gonna need to get redirected within the Transportation Trust Fund to pay for this.
Senator McCray, has your delegation talked about this?
We haven't talked about this. Obviously, we know the red line piece is an important issue. And just leaning in back, I got another request from an adjacent county that we do uncodified language. I didn't get to send it over to you, but should have. Just basically saying if it can extend, the study could extend to Baltimore County if we do it.
Senator Quarterman?
Just following up on some of what Matt said there, then, isn't some of all this already being done, like within the CTP, like some of the planning process already is, the groundwork is already in there?
There is some planning money already in there that the fiscal note talks about. And so the CTV contemplates spending some money. I think there's 3.5 million, not quite 5 million in there, to do some studies around this.
I guess I'm just asking if they're
Yeah.
already,
No,
if they're already
that's-
doing it, I guess what's the onus for the legislation, but.
Right.
Okay. I'm feeling like I want to hold this for a day. Maybe Senator McCray, you could reach out to a few more of your colleagues. I mean, my gut is that we want to be doing this, but I want to understand and this relationship about what's already been done, or be curious. Yep, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay, 653.
653 is a cross file. This one is the Conservation Act, Conservation Finance Act. And you had Senate Bill.
Yep.
What was it? Was it 348? Was the Senate bill. And again, this just allows some agencies to do a new type of procurement to pay for the contracting, or was it pay for results? As a new type of procurement. The bill is in the same posture as the Senate, except the House added 2 reporting requirements on MES. Whenever they do these types of procurements, they're gonna have to report every 3 years on the number that they're doing and how many they're doing. So the House bill is essentially the Senate bill, it just has an additional reporting requirement on MES.
Okay, and they have our bill?
We have the bill, and the House amended it to be identical to the House bill, so I would suggest that you concur in the House amendments on Senate Bill 348, and you would want to be favorable on House Bill 653.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Did you have something to add? Okay. Senator Alfred takes that to the floor.
Good.
Okay, 744.
This is a pension bill. This is the Joint Committee on Pensions, the omnibus kitchen sink clarification and corrections bill. We were looking at additional amendment. I don't know if Senator Elfreth wanted to.
Thanks, Philip. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the committee will recall last year around this time, we did immediate vesting for 2 positions in state government. The Joint Committee looked at a number of other opportunities over the interim, and I would like to add an amendment to this kind of kitchen sink bill to include a few more positions within reasonable limitations to that immediate vesting.
So if you go to page 6 in your reprint, that's where the new language is added. So current law.
How many new positions?
Excuse me?
How many more positions? It's
I
like
believe it's 6.
Under the amendment. No, my copy's not. I think, yeah. I think
Everybody
it's 6.
understand this, essentially, what we're doing?
6.
There's some positions that have limitations on their terms. It makes it complicated to get to the vesting limits, so we think that it's appropriate to move forward with that.
And Mr. Chair, can I add, we did work with the system on this throughout, and they believe there's a nominal effect.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Senator Alfred? We have to spend some time on it, just, that's all there is to it. I mean, it's very important, I want to get it done,
Okay.
yeah, I mean. All right, 763.
763, this is another pensions bill. This is the bill regarding the DGS caseworkers being moved from the employee system into cores. Have an additional clarifying amendment, if you go to the last page of your reprint. As you all have been doing these bills, moving
Is
certain.
this one of the ones that was in the package?
Yes.
10?
No, well, yes, but this is a change, though.
Okay,
This is not conforming to what, this came up after that had moved. So a few years ago, I think we realized that because of the contribution differences between cores and the employee system, if you started in the employee system on or after July 1, 2008, your contributions were always the same or more than cores. And so by default, it made sense for those individuals to just have their service transferred into cores because it would only be to their benefit. Since then, we've realized that some people, because the employee contribution is 7% and cores is 5%, there may be people who have service prior to 2008 who actually won't have a deficiency, and it would make sense for them to just be moved into cores to kind of simplify everything. So this clarifying language specifies that if the accumulated contributions are at least equal to the amount that will be required to be deposited, your time's just going to be moved into cores because it'll only be to that member's benefit. So it should simplify the process of members getting these letters outlining all the different deficiency considerations when it's not really going to be a factor for anyone fitting this criteria.
Senator Jackson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Philip. This, Mr. Chairman, this kind of leads us right into the study we're going to have on Senate Bill 115. I think there's just so many different variables that are dealing with these systems that I think, we're happy. Obviously, the folks who wanted Senate Bill 115 aren't particularly happy right now, but I think at the end of the day, this is what Philip is talking about here is the things that we're going to be talking about in that work group. Got to get it right. We keep coming back every year dealing with these systems, and so.
Okay, so how does this put us in with the Senate bill?
The Senate bill would need to be amended to have.
Where's that over in the House?
It's in House rules.
All right. So we're gonna amend this, but it will then need to be amended also on the Senate, on the House side. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Senator Jackson,
Yes, sir.
House
842.
Bill 842 establishes a tourism development incentive fund in Calvert County and requires that the county's hotel rental tax be distributed to that fund.
Okay, all those in favor? We got a letter from them, and Senator Jackson will take it to the floor. Senator Jackson's learned about getting letters, see, clearly, because he's got a letter on the next one, too. 914.
We do have a local letter on this one. This bill would allow Calvert County to basically do multi-year procurement contracts for up to 20 years in certain circumstances.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, Senator Jackson. 930.
House Bill 930 expands the authorized uses of the Amos Fund to include property acquisition and construction of facilities.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Senator Edwards loves this so much, he's gonna take it to the floor.
You already did the next two.
We did the next two, aren't we efficient? Three, yes, we did. Woo, we're good.
I do have one you can fill in with.
Okay,
So there's the House Bill 438, the WMATA bill, came back from the House with a request to recede from the amendment that the Senate attached. This is with regard to the Senator Augustine amendment that was added on the floor that would have required a report out of WMATA, would have withheld money from WMATA pending a report from WMATA about a procurement. The House, so your options here are basically either to recede from that amendment or to go to conference committee on it.
Senator Roosevelt,
I'd like to discuss it with Senator Augustine and the Conservative delegation.
fine. At the end of the day, this bill doesn't really need to pass this year.
I know that, I know that, I know
So,
that, I know that.
And you should also be aware, if you aren't already, that there's narrative now requiring the report that you want in the budget.
Oh, that's new information. I'd like to look at that too.
You might want to get a look at that.
That's great.
There you go.
Augustine was good with the narrative, same thing that was in the bill we had.
You've talked with them about it?
I talked with him Friday night.
Okay, well, you're way ahead of me.
It's your pleasure. I mean, again, we're in
I
no
know-
rush now anymore, so but I think it's all, in
I think
many
it's all
ways,
worked out, but I'd like to check with the chair of the delegation.
that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's a hold. Okay, 1196.
House Bill 1196, this was not cross-filed. This is a bill related to tax sales and alternative collection programs. What the bill would do, does a number of things. So first, existing law has a provision that would expire at the end of June 30, 2023, that would allow a governing body of a county or municipality to withhold from tax sale, owner-occupied residential property. The House bill makes that a permanent authorization. And then the House bill also allows counties and municipalities to withhold from sale residential property or property owned by a nonprofit organization if they're enrolled in a payment program established by the governing body of the county or municipality. And also has a requirement that, in that instance, the county or municipal corporation arrange for the payment to the state of any state property taxes that are due. And then finally, the bill allows for a tax sale to be canceled or postponed during a state of emergency, either declared by the governor or by a county or municipal corporation in accordance with state or local law. The one thing I would note on the bill is, as introduced and also in current law, the code has, in the authorizations to withhold property from sale, requirements that it be in accordance with objective criteria established by the governing body. And if you look at page 2 of the bill, the making permanent of that withholding from sale owner-occupied residential property does not have that condition, so that may be something you'd want to consider adding back in. And I believe as introduced, the requirement to arrange to pay the state taxes that are in arrears applied a little more broadly than it does here. Here, it's only the residential or nonprofit enrolled in a payment program. So those are, I guess, two things for your consideration.
Senator Eckert, this
Yes.
is usually your specialty. What do you
Yes.
think, what do you think of this?
I have to give it a little more thought.
Okay, why don't we hold that? Anybody wants to talk tax sales, get together with Senator Eckert,
Yes.
okay? I mean, I think there's some good stuff here. But the more you talked, Philip, the more complicated it got. So I
Tends to be the,
I just want to
yeah.
make sure we don't make any mistakes here. Okay, 1249.
Okay, House Bill 1249, it is a cross-file to a Senate bill, however, it came over different. This is the one that would adjust for library capital projects, the state and local share for certain counties. What the House did to it is it put a sunset on that for 3 years.
Evidently, that sounds pretty good. All right, all those in favor? Opposed? So we're gonna put so we have, who's got the Senate bill? No.
It's
I know.
in the House already.
It's in the House. Oh, they're already changing it over there. Okay, Senator Edwards. Very good. Okay, 1254.
House Bill 1254, this was not cross-filed. This bill pertains to the State Board of Contract Appeals. As passed by the House, it requires at least 3 more positions for the board that were authorized in fiscal year 2022. And then also some requirements that the board shall employ at least 1 law clerk from University of Maryland Law School, University of Baltimore School of Law, and Howard University School of Law. You also have an amendment, reprint before you. At the hearing, there was testimony that due to the workload of the board, they really need more board members to handle that. And so the proposal was to expand the board from its current 3 members to a total of 6 members. So the reprint you have before you would do that, and then there's a handwritten change I put in there. I checked with the board, and just to clarify that expanding the board from 3 to 6 would mean that they can do, it wouldn't mean now it's a 6-member board. It would allow them to assign the board members so that they can basically divide up the work and try and get it processed more quickly. And then at the end of the bill, there's just uncodified language aligning the staggered appointments with the current appointment expirations of the current board members.
Okay, all those in favor as amended? Opposed? Senator Corman, you like this bill? The one we just talked about?
Mr. Chairman, I kind of worked on this.
Oh, well, then,
subcommittee,
please.
so I'm happy.
Oh, please. Love it. Thank you for volunteering.
From our subcommittee.
Team player.
Love it.
Team player.
Senator Griffith.
Unless Senator Porterman was angry.
Excellent. Good point. 1444.
House Bill 1444 extends the termination date of the income tax credit for endowments for Maryland's historically black colleges. The tax credit is set to sunset in 2 years. 2 years, and it extends it through tax year 2028.
Okay. Everybody good with this bill? All's in favor? Opposed? Who loves this bill? Anybody? Huh? Quarterman? All right, I love it. I love it. That's one to write home about. All right, 1446.
All right, you all do have a reprint on your desk. It's a single page. It was not cross-filed. What it did is it came in from the House had to do with the Shady Grove Regional Higher Education Center and providing a $5 million grant in 2 fiscal years, in each of 2 fiscal years for workforce development. That funding for 2 years was contingent on them not getting funding in fiscal '23. $5 million was indeed provided in fiscal '23 in one of the supplemental budgets. So what the amendments now would do is say for fiscal 2024 only, an additional $5 million. I believe the idea was 2 years of $5 million. And then also an amendment is suggested here to make that $5 million supplemental to and not supplanting any other funds that they would get.
All's in favor? You have a question? Okay.
Thank you,
Make
Mr. Chair.
that statement.
I think it's a wonderful bill, and I think our regional centers are incredible and great, one of our greatest opportunities for workforce development, and I would love to maybe think next year about how to expand workforce development at the other regional centers as well. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, awesome. All those in favor? Oh, wait, Senator,
No, I would echo my friend from Anne Arundel's comments, and I will gladly take this one to the floor with the hopes of this conversation continuing next year.
well, that's very kind. I don't know if, I think Senator King would like to.
Senator King can have it then.
Yeah, I can't believe the fighting over these now. What has changed all of a sudden? Senator Eckert, would you like to take the bill to the floor too?
Only if it's the tax sale, because I would like to go back and revisit that, now that I caught up. Can we go back to that?
Oh, you think it's ready to go?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question. Were there amendments, Philip? Because I'd like it clean.
Sorry, which bill?
1196.
The House did amend it as introduced.
When it came over to us, was it already amended?
Yes, and that is what led to the comments I made about some things that you may want to look at. So, as introduced, the way it was structured, the objective criteria by the local government, which is also in the other existing provisions, would have applied, and now I don't believe that applies to the making permanent of withholding the owner-occupied residential. And then the piece about making sure that the state portion of the tax is being paid for anything being held. I believe as introduced prior to the House amendments, that applied more broadly than it does in the House version. So those are the two items I flagged for your consideration.
Yeah, that's, all right, I'll check on those. But, I mean, it was a good bill. It was a part of the work group that was done several years ago.
Yeah, it looked good.
And it is helpful, because it does enable the payment plans, it enables to remove homeowners from the tax sale, which is a helpful thing, and then, enables the jurisdictions to cancel their tax sales.
Yeah, in its current,
So-
in its current posture, it's the three things, it's the emergency, you
Right.
can cancel or postpone, and then the payment plan you can withhold, and then the residential owner occupied property, that's made permanent.
Yeah, let me just run that by the bill sponsor, and we'll get that cleared and come back in. All right?
Very good.
Are we gonna meet tomorrow? I just don't wanna hold it up all week.
Yeah, we'll meet
Thank
tomorrow. We have a late entry.
Exactly how I was gonna phrase it. Thank you. So this is not a cross-file, it is a local bill, House Bill 680. It applies to Baltimore County, authorizing them to grant a property tax credit against the personal property tax imposed on certain supermarkets, brand new or greatly expanded. You did just receive a local letter from the delegation.
Senator Stallings, you like this? Say, what did you say?
Overwhelmed with joy.
All those in favor? Senator Stallings, you can take that joy right to the floor.
Erica, did you say it was House Bill 680?
Correct.
We got enough to go? Anything else? Nothing else? Yeah. Anything interesting over there, guys?
House Bill.
Nothing. Okay, let's see what tomorrow looks like.
The switch today.
Uh-huh.
Too much weekend, I guess. I think it's on 172. I'm gonna change my vote from yea to nay.
Which one?
172, I think it is. I was looking for it.
Page 2.
The union dues bill.
I don't
Remember-
know, are there any objections? All right, without objection. Oh, okay, all right. Not Senator Stallings. I lost you. No. That's right. Okay, all right. Tomorrow. Yes, it will. I think,
Let's take the day off.
you always say that.
Sometimes you say it, and we do.
I know, it's true. Every now and then I do. Tomorrow we'll probably, we'll see how the floor goes. Let you guys, there'll be some lunchtime, and then we'll probably do a little cleanup voting. But we're in pretty good shape. Please review things that you've worked on or think you need to work on, and see if there's anything out there. I really do, I mean, the team and I did a pretty big deep dive today on what's out there. And we really, I think, have covered most of the stuff that we really want to move or want to talk about. There'll still be a couple more, but. But.
Are we good with some of the bills that are in the rules over at the House?
In rules in the House?
Yes.
Senate bills over there.
Yes.
Are we good with them?
Can we do anything about it?
Can we do anything about it?
Yes.
If you got ones that you want me to, in particular, talk to them about, you should always do what you think is appropriate to get your bills and such out of. But,
Appropriate or right?
but I'm happy to help everybody get where they need to get. So, but please send me what that is, and I will weigh in. No, that I need it in. Give it to Deanna. Give it to Deanna, the bill numbers and what you got. All right.
There's still bills in the committees that aren't moving that have been there a long time.
Lots of stuff going on in the world. It's been a very active session, and it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what what discussions are gonna happen over the interim about, I think, our attempts to limit some of the bills probably didn't really work so well.
You know what happened? We said no more than 25 bills. And what it turned out being, people that put in 7 or 8 bills normally, put in 25 bills.
Right.
So we still ended up with more than what we wanted to have.
I'm sure there's gonna be more discussion about that. We had, as you know, and this is just stunning, really, we had more, it's the first time that I know ever, we had more than finance. So procurement played a role in that, but we've done a lot of work, a lot of work. So- Yeah, Senator Young?
Just say I always appreciate your help, but I had a bill I wanted to move, and I went to Delegate Healy and asked her to move it out of rules, and she did.
Look at that.
And then I went to the chair of the committee and asked her if she would hear it, and she said she would. So
All right, there you go.
That's,
That would be the first step.
Yes, but tell them about, didn't you have to get down on your knees to do it?
Yeah.
Is that the one you talked about?
hmm?
Didn't you have to beg for it?
Yeah, all right, all right. No, but seriously, if you have trouble after you've tried, if I can be helpful, please bring it to my attention. Okay? All right, very good, everyone. Have a good, well, I'll see you
Yeah, right.
in half an hour.